Well, here we are starting to strip the finish on this old guitar. I've put some just plain old paint stripper on the finish. Trick I learned from my old painting days was to put a little bit of glad wrap over the stripper. I've just taken a section there. I'll give that 10 or 15 minutes to work its magic and I'll come back to it. Now some tools I've got here. I bought a nice new little scraper with just a nice skinny blade, and if you notice just on the little corners I just put a file on the corners just to round off those edges so that minimise the risk of taking a gouge out of the guitar. I used that to get the bridge off. Did the job really well. My second tool, which is an old favourite from my old painting days, and you can see it's been around the traps. This tool is called a Scarsden. This is a nice skinny one, and it has a little blade in there. I don't know if you can see it. Those little blades are replaceable, so as they wear out you take them out and slide in a new blade. When you put in a new blade they're nice and sharp, and you pull on these, so you pull back on them to strip. And so because of that action you're not gouging into it, so there's far less risk of putting a gouge into the surface. This is an old blade, I haven't got any replacements, so I just gave it a bit of a tickle with a file to sharpen it up a bit. Another good thing about these little Scarsdens is you can get the edges right into the little corners like that. And you tilt the blade a little bit and you can clean out little tight corners. This one's just a variation of the Scarsden, but just a bigger paint stripper. Probably be suitable for like a bigger flats areas, and that's just a big scraper I had, so I'll keep that on hand, see if that comes in handy at some stage. Alright, we'll come back. Well, there we go. It's coming off reasonably easy. You can see how that little Scarsden gets right into those corners. I really do like these Scarsdens because you're pulling back on it and you're just minimising the risk of damage on the surface. I've got to take a couple of scrapes to get to that, looks like it's a sealer coat underneath there. Alright, I'll just keep going. I'll just strip that first section. There was a little bit of residue of the undercoat left on there, so I'm just giving it a quick coat and I'll give it a quick scrape. I'll put on the next section. I'll put it on nice and thick as the instructions suggest, and they says leave it there for up to 15 minutes, but I've left it for about 10. Another good reason for the glad wrap too, it's a very hot day here today, about 38 degrees. So it just stops it from going off and drying too quickly. And I've shoved a rag down the sound hole there just to pick up any residue or drips that might accidentally fall down that way. Well, we're making progress, but this white sealer seems to be quite difficult to get off. The black lacquer came off relatively easy, but I've already given that a couple of applications, that white stuff, to try and get it off, so I'm about to give it another one. Well, here we are back again. I finally got it all stripped off. The white residue that was on there was actually quite difficult to get off, which I'm assuming was the sealer, and in some patches it needed several applications to get that sealer off. And I've just gone over it with a metho rag as per the instructions on the stripper can to take off any residue. The job just to do this top has taken me about an hour and a half, and I've been fiddling around doing a few other things in between, waiting for the stripper to work its magic, things like sanding up that bridge. And for the stripper, that's a 250ml can. I used about 2/3 of that just to strip the top. So I'd imagine to do a whole guitar like this one, because this one involves the neck and the headstock, would take a considerable amount of work in stripping, a fair bit of stripper, and then there's all the sanding and getting it prepared for your finish. As this one's a test bed, I did this as a test because I've actually got a varnish guitar that I want to strip. This was an old one I had lying around that I used as a test. But I also want to do a sunburst, practice a sunburst finish on a guitar. So this one actually might be a good donor to practice that with. And if I did that, I wouldn't have to strip all of the black off this thing. So I just prepare the top and then use this as a test bed to practice doing a two-tone sunburst. Well, that's all for now, folks. And from Kelly's Guitars, I hope that's been helpful. See ya.